Thank you for taking this moment to breathe and to listen what can change your life forever. My name is Ragnar Sinikas, and I'm the founder of Starpreneur TV, How to Dominate the Decade talk show, World Women Conference and Awards, the creator of Levesque, the coach of the Changemakers, and co-author of the book Dominate the Decade. My mission is to empower through education. So thank you very much for joining us. And today I have the honor to talk with Rick Levesque. He is John Maxwell certified trainer, coach, and public speaker from United States of America. Rick helps businesses to train with leadership trainings, creating them action plans, increasing their communication skills and conflict management and crisis management. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Rick. Hi, Rick. Can you tell us who you are? Why are you doing what you're doing? And what is your passion?
Certainly, and as always, Ragni, thank you so much for this opportunity. It is absolutely my pleasure. As Ragni introduced, my name is Rick Levesque. I am in the lovely state of Alabama, and specifically Tuscaloosa. And a little bit about myself. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut. I am I have two other siblings, two sisters and myself. And unfortunately, that's where kind of my family ends. My mother passed away recently, and my father has not been around. So as far as me, intro to me, I have a business degree in business management. As Ragni said, I have studied the John Maxwell training. I'm part of the empowerment living community. And more importantly, I just enjoy life. And so when we talked about me, you put up there on my bio, one of the things that most people are extremely shocked about is that just 2 years, in 2018, I weighed 417 pounds. So with the huge amount of transformation, I weigh currently 170. So if you do the math, that is roughly about 237 pounds gone in a 2 years time frame. So I understand what it looks like to go from one extreme to another. But I know that through that trial and tribulation of losing that weight, and through everything that I went through, which was at that time I had kidney failure, I had back issues, I had stomach surgery, I had a bunch of medical things go on, and then on top of it, my wife left me right in the middle of stomach surgery, and then my mom just passed away 3 months after that. So I understand what adversity looks like, right, Ragni? So, and so through that all, that's kind of where I lie into what I teach and train, which is through passion and perseverance and then purpose. And that is really where my coaching really has kind of set fire and what I'm kind of pushing towards. As far as anything else, I'm kind of a open book. So when people ask, I'm willing to tell them just about everything and anything about me. So.
But why coaching? Why training? Why did you see that your story was already impacting so many people because all your weight loss and going through all of those things? Or where did you find that coaching and speaking and all of that is sort of your tribe, your thing that you wanted to do?
That's again, great question. So when Mom was still alive, she knew that I had a passion for the John Maxwell team, because what I found was back in 1992, dating myself, when I joined the military, my recruiter gave me a book that I was not familiar with, and it was Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell. Now, leadership hadn't been really heard from or about as much back then. So when I started reading, I was like, this is what I want to be. I've heard about management, you hear about, delegation and stuff like that. But leadership, that wasn't a word that people use very often. You know, the president and stuff, that those were our leaders. So as I got to read, I was assigned as what's called an element leader while I was in the service. And so I had a squad of people who reported to me, if you will, on a daily basis. And so I used that teaching from John Maxwell to really speak into my life. And so that's where my journey dove into the coaching and training. Was I used that to work with my team to be able to develop a strong group of individuals, and we worked together to get things done. And from there, the fire just burned, right? And so through everything, when I lost mom, one of the things she put in is that from her estate was for me to have enough money to join the John Maxwell team. And so I took that money and did what I know is putting a smile on her face as we talk now, was to join the John Maxwell team and invest in myself so I could truly invest in others. And so that's really where that comes from.
Well, I see true proudness and the honor there, and you even have, I see the John Maxwell certifications behind you. So, so this is truly nice to see. But tell us more about your drive, in a sense that who is your client, who are the businesses that you coach, and what would be the perfect match? For example, if a person is listening to you, and yes, the passion and perseverance and purpose is maybe something that they would like to go deeper with, but just to understand why they should choose you.
Sure. And again, I can't keep saying this enough. I was so excited that you chose to speak with me. So why to choose me? Well, first off, and I don't say choose me because of my faith, although my faith is what my foundation is. But I found that when I teach from a position of passion, perseverance, and purpose, what I found is that these words resonate to me because over time, these were the words that were constantly coming up, that were bringing me to light, and that were really what I was passionate about. And so it was how I got through my day, right? It was how I looked at each individual day. Was what was my passion for the day? What was I going to do to persevere? What was my purpose? What was I trying to accomplish for that day? So I found those words speaking directly to me. And then through that, I found that I was able to build up three things on top of that, which was confidence, clarity, and consistency, right? So I stayed with it. I created a pattern. I found a pattern that worked well for me. And then I used that pattern in my training and coaching and speaking to be able to develop who I am now. You know, yesterday, as I was watching April's, you know, her piece yesterday, right? She talked about do, delegate, and delete, right? And so those are three areas that as you work through your day, as you're coaching, as you're looking for a coach, you want to find three areas that sit really well with you. And do you need to do them? Do you need to delegate them? Or do you need to delete them and take them out of your life, right? So when you say, why would someone choose me? Or why would someone choose me? Or who is my right candidate, right? Or someone who needs coaching or mentoring. I had to think about this last night as I was writing this down. I work with people who are currently very vague in what they want to do. They're struggling. They know what they want to do, but they're not sure how to go about doing it. I also work with people who have been through some severe situations, right? So that means people who are currently suffering from alcoholism, recovering from the loss of a loved one. You know, people who've struggled in their life and need stability. One of the things that I put out on a consistent basis is my organizational skills. I try to give people some great ways to organize their life, to develop them, to gain their passion, their perseverance and purpose, right? So I work with people on a personal level. And then when I work with businesses, I work with them through training and through development and working with those leaders who show a very strong outward presence, but inside are struggling because they're not sure how to deal with their day-to-day and focused on what their personal life is doing in their professional life or what their professional life is doing with their personal life. So those are the clients that I look to serve through the three processes, as I said, the passion, the perseverance, and the purpose, because I think that those are the three driving factors that drive me to be who I am. And I know that with those skill sets, I can really show, develop, and train and work with them. And most importantly, I look for people who are trainable and teachable. People who are willing to understand that there's not just one way to do things, right? As a trainer and coach, I learned myself, going through the John Maxwell training. It was not what I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. As a coach, you know that as well with the Dominate the Decade, right? Things aren't always the way that you think that they're going to be or perceive. So we have to work through those. And that's one of the things that I love to do with people. So
would you also say that this is the part of when you work with businesses and crisis management, and this is the piece that you work with, or let's say if you enter a business, how do you do the evaluations where they are and where they really want to go?
That is a really good question. Well, I didn't even write that one down. So one of the things, Ragni, is first off, I take a step back. I observe what it is that their organization is doing. The next, I use a tool which you may be familiar with, which is DISC assessments, and learning the different styles of the people that are working together, that in their leadership roles, as well as maybe their support staff. Because just because you know what the roles are of your leadership, their sales or support staff is just as critical and crucial. And so it allows you to be able to see both sides of the story, if you will, because, there are three sides to any story, right? I mean, there's yours, there's mine, and then there's the truth, right? And so, somewhere in between, that allows us to figure out where the, if you will, the disconnect is. So when I'm evaluating a business, I'm going in and just introducing myself. I'm taking a step back, but I'm also listening, because as you may know, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. It gives us that opportunity to really take advantage, to learn and listen to what's going on. A lot of times when you're in the business, you can't see the outside things that are affecting. So that's the reason why they call someone like myself in, or someone like you in, to really evaluate from and get an outside perspective. And the other great thing about hiring a coach is they have no personal input into it. They're looking totally for your success. They want to see you succeed. Number one, that you're financially paying that coach to do that job, right? And then number two, they're not a part of that business. So they're looking from that outside perspective. And so all they want to do is see you succeed and do it very well, because that's what you're telling them and paying them to do, right? So that's how I look at it from that perspective, is from an outside in, how can we, develop and train and learn from each situation.
I totally agree that the same ties which is on the table can be looked through six different ways. So obviously that's very important to acknowledge, and also see from which point of view the things are evaluated or looked at. So we want to know a little more about you as well. What inspires you, and if you would say someone that has been a great role model besides John Maxwell, what would you say? Who that person be, and why?
So,
and besides your mom.
Oh, that is so not fair.
I really
Okay.
push you to think, because there's a lot of people that maybe even subconsciously have impacted us, and we don't even recognize how much they have influence over us, because we have somehow identified those big big influencers, but there's a many. I just yesterday I had a long walk at the beach, and I was thinking about it because I was listening something about leaving the legacy, and what would you really want to leave behind, and there was a lot of examples of the great leaders and the great minds of throughout the history. And when I start to think, and it was very nicely said that if you think that their lives have been just the flowers and the bees and all of that, no, they were made by the crisis that they went through, and all of that. So what you think, who, now I gave you sufficient time to think, who would be like, it can be a book that really has changed your life, or it can be a person, or whatever, something that you see that was very impactful moment in your life.
Sure. So outside of John Maxwell and my mom, and I know she's laughing. So outside of them, the most influential person, in this being a male of all people, because I grew up without a father in my life, or a father figure, so I didn't really have anyone that I looked up to. But growing through my life, and through the 3 unfortunate failed marriages I've been through, Ragni, so again, you know, my story is pretty lengthy. I discovered a pastor by the name of Mark Gungor. And Mark Gungor teaches a a philosophy of really laughing your way through your marriage, because laughter really kind of touches everybody. You know, sometimes not everybody can laugh, but when you do, it's truly reached your heart. You know, it's made an impact in you. And Mark Gungor teaches the tale of 2 brains, the differences between men and women, and how different we think on on that level. For example, one of the videos, if you ever get a chance to watch, he talks about his nothing box, right? And so when he talks about his nothing box, Ragni, that means that if you and I were a couple, and you were talking, and you approach me saying, "Hey, Rick, what's on your mind?" And I say, "Nothing." I am in my nothing box. And what he teaches, and I've learned through time, is that we actually do have a nothing box we go to, where we don't want anyone to touch it. We don't want anyone around. It's where we sit, and it's where we're perfectly okay with it. It's where you see men, when you see these commercials where they got the remote control and the clicker in their hand, and they look, that spaced out look of absolute nothingness. They're in their nothing box, right? And they don't want to be bothered. So Mark Gungor really touched my soul, number 1, because he was a pastor. Number 2, he was able to take an outside in look. His wife, may her soul passed just a few years ago. But Debbie was his wife, and he just recently remarried. But she went with him everywhere. And she supported him through everything. And what made it work was laughter. They were able to get through. And so he was one of those that was pivotal in my life, that really touched me in a way that I could see, number 1, he was a man of God. Number 2, he was a strong individual, that someone I could look up to, someone who I could have mentor me, not directly, because I didn't have the finances to reach out to him that way, but watch what he did, learn from him. And so, yeah, if I had to choose someone outside of the leadership role, outside of the coaching role, because I mean, I have a lot in the coaching. We've got, you know, Tuan, who we're connected with. We've got Mark Cole and John Maxwell and Paul Martin. I mean, I could list off a bunch of names. But on a level of in my heart and in the back of my brain, Mark truly has been someone who's touched my life in a way that has inspired me to be that man who's upright and who follows a Christian belief. And that's just my religion, you know. But yeah, he has definitely been the one that has kind of mentored me through many of the challenges and obstacles that I've faced. So.
Beautiful. Let's talk about, we can't go through, we're still under the current circumstances, meaning that we are still affected by the pandemic, which is not only a health issue, but also a very crucial economical situation for many people, no? So what is your intake? What do you see, and what do you think? What would be the message that you want to give out for, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a family, whether it's someone that you want to impact? What would you say today?
Sure. So the first thing I have to say to all of you have been stuck inside, because Ragni said she was able to take a long walk on the beach, right? And so because she's blessed to be where she's at, she's able to get out of the house and be able to do that. But not all of us can do that. So the first thing I gotta say to all those who are watching is be kind to each other, right? So you've been stranded inside and you've been looking at that person, and you may not have the greatest of feelings, and you may now be reconsidering where you're at in your relationship, right? But keep in mind that the number one thought is that you have to take care of you. So when I'm thinking about businesses right now who are currently struggling through this pandemic, you were in a brick and mortar, if you will, in a solid building, and now you're having to figure out a way to just bring money in to put food on your own table, right? And so I say to those businesses that there are coaches and there are mentors and people who truly care about you and your business, who can help you understand what it's like to build a virtual platform, to be able to get your message out to people. For example, Ragni, I don't know if you have Planet Fitnesses, you know, there in Mexico, but what they did is they closed all their Planet Fitnesses down and then opened up free online fitnesses so they can be interactive with their customers and be in their homes and on their minds, right? So as a business, I have to say, what is it that you can do to help your clients know that who you are and where you stand through this pandemic? You know, what is it you're doing to reach out? And now as they're starting to phase out some of the restrictions that they have here in the United States and some of the states, it just depends on which states that you're in, but creating a stability and a platform online is crucial for your development, because you just never know what kind of situation is going to come. We didn't know about this pandemic. We certainly could never have thought we were going to be stuck for, say, you know, is it 30, 60, 90 days in home. We didn't know. And certainly people are now having to react versus being proactive. They're being reactive to the situation. So as a coach or trainer or a mentor, reaching out to these businesses, and as a business owner, reach out to someone who can help you establish that position. On a personal level, for my friends and my family, where I sit is that keep moving, keep navigating forward. And the most common expression used from the Bible is, and this too shall pass, right? There was back in the 1918, which was a really, really bad pandemic. But there are people who survived through it, and we can survive through this. People are currently suffering from depression and loss and anxiety, right? They're struggling with what's going on inside. They may be feeling ashamed because they haven't worked as hard as others have in the last 60 days, maybe on their physical fitness, or whether on their mental well-being, or just on their business, right? Be kind to yourself. Take it day by day, little by little. Develop an action plan. That's what we're here for. That's one of the wonderful things about this platform is that there are so many coaches out here who are willing to help you, that are willing to, as long as you reach out to us, we'll do whatever we can to assist you in your growth and development. So take that time. So, use social media. As Ragni said, she takes walks on the beach. If you can't do that, get out of the house, figure out a good time if it's early in the morning, and get out and stretch your legs. Get out and do something, but do it for yourself and be kind. That's kind of where I'm at for personal and business.
Perfect. Before I ask Rick his 3 recommendations how to dominate the decade, everybody that are looking, thank you, April. As you see, Rick did listen and wrote down and already took the action on them. So you see, it does work when you actually ask people to do so. And leave your questions here in Zoom. Thank you, everybody who has joined us, and everybody that you're looking this in Facebook. I'm also looking here. We have people from Estonia, we have people from UK, we have people from Mexico, we have people from US. So thank you, everybody, for joining. Yes, John Maxwell is great. 3 great areas, Rick. Passion keeps us going. So we have some good notes, but if you have questions for Rick, please write them down until Rick is going to give us his 3 recommendations how to dominate the decade.
Sure. So as hopefully we come up with some questions, as you said. So I'm going to teach from my 3 that we discussed in that part of the platform. So to dominate the decade, number 1, okay, you need to figure out what your passion is. All right, you need to think inside that head, inside your heart, what is it that makes you want to get up in the morning? What is it that when you get up and you're up, not just your coffee that wakes you up in the morning, not your significant other, although they can be a part of your passion. What is it today that really drives you and is going to make that day? So at the end of the day, you can go, I've done this. Where is your passion? Is it dog grooming? Is it helping other people be the best that they can be? Is it, I don't know, I know it's summer, but is it ice skating? What is that passion that drives you? Okay, write that down and make it, if it has to be a word or a sentence, so be it, but write it down. That's the first. Perseverance, right? Persevere means that you get knocked down, knocked down, knocked down, knocked down. But what do you do with it? When you get knocked down, are you A, getting knocked down and getting right back up doing the same thing over and over again? I think it was, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and doing this and expecting a different result, right? When you persevere, number 1, as you fall and you fail, just a FYI, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it often. First, fail. Second, wipe yourself off and get back up. Third, learn exactly what it was that caused you to fail. Here's where people make the mistake. They think, okay, I figured out what it is, and then they just go. No, don't miss the next step. The next is figure out what you did that caused you to fail, learn from it, and then put what needs to happen in place. So, Ragni, if I ask my girlfriend over and over again if she wants to go out to the movies, and I've asked her so many different times in so many different ways, and it's constantly no, I need to figure out that she really doesn't want to go to the movies. She may want to go, to go see a play, or she may want to go, to a nightclub. So I have to figure out what's causing me to fail. Number two, get up and wipe myself off, because failing sometimes is hard. But three, learn from it, figure out what I need to do to tweak it, and then move forward. That's perseverance. It's keep pushing regardless of how many times you've been knocked down. Ragni, I just on perseverance, 2018, right? I went in for stomach surgery. During that stomach surgery, my wife left me. On top of that, I ended up with 2 blood transfusions. I had kidney surgery, the back surgery, the blood transfusions. I had multiple medical things happen, and then I was homeless. I was jobless. I had nothing, but I had one thing in my mind. I could persevere through it. I didn't know how. I didn't know when, but I knew that if I took what happened and I dusted myself off, and yes, I sulked for a long time, but I figured out what I had to do to make it right, and then I kept going. So that's what perseverance will do for you. Write down what it takes to persevere for you. Make that be your rock. Make that be what causes you. And your passion started it. Your perseverance is going to keep going. But your final is your purpose. What is it that you plan to do now? Or what is the future holding for you? Know who you are. Learn to love who it is that you truly are. For me, Ragni, I had hated myself. At 417 pounds, I thought, who would love me for me? No wonder why I had 3 failed marriages. I couldn't even love myself. How could I learn to love somebody else, right? So I had to figure out what my purpose was. This, by far, was the hardest thing for me to do, is to learn to first learn to love myself, and then figure out what my purpose and my passion was. So how do you figure out what your purpose is? Listen to your heart. Listen to your friends on what they think you're good at. But most importantly, put a plan of action in place on what exactly is your purpose. I have a very simple philosophy. Go big or go home, right? You're going to either be all in or have nothing at all. Figure it out, because once you figure out what your purpose is, and my drive is to help other people. It is my passion. It is literally what feeds me, because I don't drink coffee, all right? And believe it or not, all this energy is not from caffeine. This is my love and my passion, and my purpose is to serve other people. So what is it that is your purpose? That's where a coach and a mentor really is. So those are the 3 things for Dominate Your Decade that I put out for you to, as you're going through today, to think about: your passion, your perseverance, and your purpose. So those are the 3, Ragni.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would just reflect on those. I think a lot of us as really, and especially in the times that we're going through now, I think we don't feel anymore. We are numb, because the society is telling that when we get hurt, we just need to get over it fast and just keep on going. Yes, but if we don't feel and we suppress all those emotions, in one day it's just going to blow up, because we know that there is something that we really didn't go through in order to understand, like, what happened to us, why was it happening, and what exactly, as you said, what can we learn from that? So I think there's a lot of numbness. There's a lot of people that are even afraid to feel. And when we look back and we see, when we are children, And especially for boys, like we get the boys get hurt, and what are we saying? Wipe off your tears and go on. So you are not able to go through your emotion. So you just need to discard your emotion, put it somewhere in the subconscious, and you need to move on. And then it starts to pile up because it's always like, men don't cry, men don't do this, men don't do that. And then we see what is happening with us, why there's a lot of great performance in a business sense that drive the business, they have great results and all of that, and yet you're looking at them and they are like mummies. There's no expression, there is no fire, there is no joy, there is nothing. And it comes down to the numbers. And it's not charging, it just saying out loud that maybe we really should look into and step into our internal power, in a sense that why, as you said, like, I think before we can even start to find our purpose, we need to understand who we really are. And not really seeing that, okay, what the society wants us to be, but who I am and what is my passion, not that, or the dreams, what my family wants me to have, or my spouse wants me to have, or whoever you are impacted by. So I think there's a lot of inner work that we need to do in order to even start to answer, okay, what is my purpose? And but those are very good points when you have really done the work with yourself. And I think the leadership starts within, and it's not just the sentence that leadership starts within. It really does. If you haven't done the inner work that it requires, then you can't build up sustainable empires. And why? Because if we take away the financial tools, if we take away the power that can be achieved by financial support, by political support, whatever the power is, and if we don't have what it takes and the inner strength to be a leader, then who we are in the end of the day, if we take those things away. And I think a lot of companies, why they fail, and that has interested me for quite some time now, to see really the big empires which have been built and suddenly they just disappear. And you're like, how? Why? And when you start to really tackle in and see, like, go deep, what was happening, who was the leader, what was the values and all of that, there was no authenticity, no authentic values. So they were so driven on results that the rest was sort of gone. So you see, you just provoke all of those things which I was actually thinking yesterday. So good job. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, that's what we're here to support each other, and that's what's great about what we do, right? Right, me is that to stimulate the mind and to get somebody really to think about who they are and what they're doing and what their purpose is and what their passion is. Most of us are sitting around at home going, what's on Netflix? And, what am I not able to do right now because I can't go shopping at the shopping mall, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. Meanwhile, there are people who are sitting at home hating who they are, not knowing whether or not they're going to make it through today. Where's, in worse off, Ragni, we look at those people who are just trying to figure out where a meal is coming from,
Yeah.
So there's so many different things out there that make such a huge impact. And like you said, that we get so lost in not knowing who we are because we've not really explored our inner side. We have not figured it out. And Ragni, I came from that that time frame where men were told you don't show weakness. You certainly didn't show like anxiety and stress and fear, you know. But now one of the things I teach to all of my clients who I talk to is you do things through fear, you know. I was scared to death when my wife left me. I had nowhere to go. I mean, nowhere. I was homeless. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything to support me. You have to do it through fear. You have to think outside the box, right? And so that's what coaches do. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. I didn't know if you wanted me to address John's question that he posted.
What is the biggest milestone in your life you are most proud of? So the rest of the people that are watching in Facebook also would understand what are you're answering.
So so the biggest milestone, if you're talking about in my life in general, I would have to say it's right now. It's the person who I've become, John, is who I am celebrating now. Because let me tell you, in 2018, I was your biggest friend. I was your biggest supporter, but I was fake. I gave all that to the outside. I gave it to everybody who was listening. I would do everything and anything for you. But I hated who I was. I didn't. Ragni, I attempted suicide 3 different times. You know, I hated who I was. So my biggest milestone right now, John, personally, is where I'm at right now. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food in my refrigerator. I was able to accomplish a business degree. I've got, you know, the John Maxwell certification and some training from, you know, neuro-linguistic programming and human behavior and analysis. I've got a lot of different things that I can talk about on a professional level, but on a personal level, what I'm most proud of is the person who I am, the person who I've become. Because now, when you ask me, it's from my heart. It's not what answer I think you want to hear. It's truly what I believe. It's really who I am. And on a professional level, I would have to say, with Tuan pushing me and April pushing me and Ragni pushing me and those people who are in my life, Megan and some other people and Leonardo, I can go on, Ragni, so forever and ever. But on a professional level, John, that is definitely the coaching and the speaking. It is really, really been the highlight for my professional career. You know, that as you saw the certification, that was something in my heart, that when Mom put that money down for me and I was able to achieve it and get through it, yeah, professionally, that was it. And he asked another one. Do you want me to answer that, or do you have other questions?
Of course. Who is your inspiration that motivates you every day?
Wow. Outside of myself, John, so my inspiration comes from truly, and I look up, is God. When I wake up in the morning, the very first thing that I say in my prayer and to myself is, thank you for this day. If you so fit, tomorrow I'll wake up and take another breath. That is the first part of how I look at every morning when I get up. So when I look at the inspiration of what truly inspires me, I have to say God is the one who has really brought me through everything. And again, I don't mean to bring religion in. If you want to talk about a person who motivates me, that gets me going on a day-to-day basis, I would have to say there are 2 people that I look up to on a day-to-day basis right now. One is Tuan, who I see him active all the time. And I know it's funny I'm not mentioning John Maxwell. He's a wonderful individual, but we want to talk about people who are in and out of your lives on a personal level. Tuan and even more April too. She's there like all the time. So those two people are my inspiration. Then there's one other on a spiritual inspiration. That's Leonardo Allen. He is one who guides me. And then I have someone personal in my life now that that drives me, and I'm passionate for, not only for my personal life but my professional life. So, you know, she drives me in a way that I'm truly thankful for. So without the who or a specific name, I have someone who's close to me now. So I hope that answers questions. Do we have other questions, Ragni, other than that?
No, just a comment that absolutely yes, bring it in.
Inspiring, yeah, from Luani. So again, Ragni, it's one of peace and satisfaction to be able to help people. And I think you see this the most. That's one of the reasons why I was so excited about being on your platform, is for people to find a platform that allows them to realize that there's a bunch of coaches out here who are willing to help them. And it's funny how many people are so scared, like you said, and they're afraid to ask for help. So for all those people who are listening, do it afraid. It's okay to do it afraid. Ask for help. We're here. We want to help you. We're willing to do whatever it takes to get you to that next level. Because being someone who's been down and out, not having anybody to lift you up, when you lose someone as close to me as my mom was, it's really hard. Even now, it's really hard to figure out where you want to go. So a coach and a mentor really will show you the guidance and support you in what you do. So Ragni, I thank you, because you are just another coach and another mentor that shows us exactly who we need to be, and it also lets you know on a personal level what you want to aspire to and be like. So thank you.
You're absolutely welcome, and thank you for joining and adding value to this community. If someone wants to reach out to you, they want to ask you something privately, they find you now very inspirational, they found that they are your tribe, how can they contact you? How can they follow you?
Well, I do have a website, which I can tell you, but I'll spell it out for you. But you can reach me through Facebook, through Rick Levesque. You can use levesqueenterprises@gmail.com if you want to send me a direct email. And Levesque is spelled Levesque, then Enterprises, all one word, Enterprises @gmail.com. But it's 6steps.groovepages.com will allow you to get the 6 steps to a purpose-driven life. Just put in your email, and that will send you a free PDF. It'll also have my contact information as well as I'll put the link in the Facebook page that we're live on now, so everyone can reach out that way. But Facebook, of course, I watch for. Send me a DM, PM. I'm on Instagram. Twitter, whatever. I'm still learning. So, but yeah, so again, growing just like everybody else is. So that would be the way that they can reach me.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody who are here on our Zoom call. Thank you, everybody that you are watching via Facebook. Thank you for your time, dedication, especially those that are not afraid to write down their questions, write down their comments, really get engaged. And you never know, maybe even from your comment or from your question, someone can get answer for what they're suffering with. So that's why it's important. If you think that your voice doesn't matter, your voice does matter. And it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You can make difference. You can make difference in your life, and you can make difference in someone else's life. So if you want to be the hero in your life, then I hope you made notes like Rick did yesterday from April's presentations. Very good example. But the most important, not just make notes, but take action on them. How can you apply them to your life and apply them within 24 hours? Why 24 hours? We all know how much information we go through daily. So if you don't write them down, if you don't take the action now, and if you think that next week I'm going to start, no, you're not. Don't break any promises to yourself. This is why people are stuck in their lives, because they are mainly breaking the promises that they have given to themselves. So don't do that. And again, you can be the hero if you share this video with someone that you think that might benefit from this, or if you just share the video and not even having someone in your mind. You just, Facebook is so mighty, so you just share it. You never know who can actually learn from that. So do it, be the hero, and we will see you here tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to have Laura Carcacci. She's another John Maxwell team member. So as we started on Monday, we have 9 John Maxwell certified team members in a row. So we have like a John Maxwell lineup, and you see that even though the mentor or the coach, more like a more mentor, is the same, that all those coaches and trainers and speakers have their very unique way how they approach the methodology that they have been learning, and obviously their story makes it special and unique, and your story is special and unique. Don't forget that. So I see you tomorrow at the same time, here to serve you, and I hope we were valuable for you. Rick, would you like to say the final word before we disconnect?
All I got to say is, Ragni, you are phenomenal. May, for those who are religious, may God bless you. May you go in kindness, and that you take today's message. As you said, nothing can actually happen until you put it into action. Dreams stay dreams until you get it out of your head, put it on paper, and then actually take action with it. In this case, share the video. If you see something you like, whether it be me or any one of these coaches who are out there, reach out. It doesn't hurt to send a quick message. What's going to happen? We're going to connect. It's great. It's one more person you hadn't talked to, right? So it gives you an opportunity. So thank you so much. May you all be well and take care of yourselves, and remember to be kind to yourselves.
So get to work, get it done, and I will see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Be well. Bye-bye.